Hey guys, how you doing? All right, now let's talk about division. We know about long division. Some people know about short division, but today I want to talk to you about solving a division problem using partial quotients. Partial quotients, the beauty of it is, essentially, you've only got to know how to multiply by a couple things in order to solve any division problem. Okay? And with partial quotients, we're talking about base 10. You got to know how to multiply by 1. You got to know how to multiply by 10. And depending on how large the number is, you got to know how to multiply by 100 or 1,000. But if you can multiply by those things, you can solve any long division problem using partial quotients. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Now behind me, I got this problem right here. What is 544 divided by 16? And a lot of kids, especially in my class and in a lot of classes I've taught, have said, 16 type tables? I don't need to know that. I've never needed to know that. How am I going to figure that out? Oh my God, it's impossible. And I tell them, you know what? We don't have to figure them all out. We can and do regular old school long division, which is fine. But we can use partial quotients. So how do I do that? First, I make myself a couple little notes. All right, I'm going to figure out what 16 times 1, 16 times 10, and 16 times 100 is, just because I have a number in the hundreds. So I'm going to go over here and I'll say 16 times 1 is 16. And again, just keep my notes on the side here. 16 times 10 is 160. And 16 times 100 is 1,600. And I have my kids keep it there just as a little note, as visual reference, so they know what we're working with. Now I'm going to go back over to my problem. And I'm going to think about how many times can 16 fit into 554? I'll take this, draw a nice little line right there. I tell my kids it's a cat tail. They really love cats right now, so let's just go with that, I guess. But I want to get as close to 544 with one of my 3 reference numbers as possible without going over. So I always start with the biggest. 16 times 100 is 1,600. Way too big. Not going to use that. So I'm going to go over here to 16 times 10 is 160. I know I can take 160 away from 544. So I'm going to write a 10 on the outside here. I'm going to say 16 times 10 is 160. And I'm going to subtract. 4 take away 0. Got to do some regrouping. So I'm going to take 1 away from here. Makes 4, 14. 14 take away 6 is 8. 4 take away 1 is 3. At 384. I'm looking at that number, and I'm like, I could take away another 160. So I'm going to put another 10, take away another 160. I've got a 4, I've got a 2, and I've got a 2. And I'm like, wait a minute, I could still take away another 160. So put up another 160. Subtract. It's a 4. Got to regroup again. I'm down to 64. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I can't take away another 160. So what do? I'm going to go with my 16 times 1. I'm going to put a 1. 16 times 1 is 16, and I'll subtract. Do some regrouping, and I'm left with 48. Like, I could take away another 16. So, drag that cattail a little bit longer. A 16, down to 32. I could take another one, another 16. I'm going to subtract. I'm left with 16. Home stretch. Got another one. I'm going to subtract by 16, and I'm at 0. And I tell my kids, you know you're done with this problem when one of 2 things happens. 1, you end up with 0. Or 2, you end up with a number here that is less than this number right here. And then you know that that's going to be a remainder, or we're going to have to talk about decimals, but that's another time. Right now, I tell my kids the last thing you need to do is add these up on the outside. And I got 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34. So I know that 544 divided by 16 is 34. Practice it, multiplying ones, tens, hundreds, and then subtracting. Just keep repeating. You could solve any division problem. Is it going to take a while? It's going to take a little bit longer. But again, that's because you're not using the standard algorithm. And let's be honest, the standard algorithm is out there because it's shorter and it's faster once you know how to use it properly. But this is a good way to start to understand division and long division, feel comfortable with it a little bit better. All right, anyway, I'll talk to you guys again soon. I'll see you later.